Hello, I'm Jordan Midler and welcome to Raj Quit, a show about video games. This week we're talking about the best and worst first levels in gaming. A great first level can make or break a game. It's like a chat up line from the developers to convince you to spend the rest of the night with them and not chuck a pint in their face. Whether it uses the structure of a level to teach you mechanics like the iconic World 1-1 in Super Mario Bros, or it steeps the player in so much exposition and world building that they'd rather chew off their own foot than stop playing. The best examples being something like Bioshock's Descent into Rapture, or The Last of Us's opening sequence, which doesn't so much pull at your heartstrings, but ties you down and kicks the shit out of them. I remember the first time I played through The Last of Us on PS3, I had to go back to the shop about an hour in because the disc was faulty. However, I went back to the shop just with the empty case and without the disc. As you can imagine, my dad was about as happy to take me back as Joel was after... well, you should probably play it. I was playing The Surge 2 and frankly it was kicking my arse. I have fairly decent timing, I'm good at rhythm games, but parrying has always been an issue for me in games like The Surge, Dark Souls or Sekiro. I was getting really frustrated, which is a shame because The Surge 2 seemed really cool. The first one was a bit rough around the edges, but the second one seemed to be sticking the landing. I played through the opening area and was getting to grips with various systems and bits of storytelling the game was handing out. I was ready to drop hours into it the same way that I did when I lost a week of my life to Dark Souls 3. And then I got to the boss. And the boss kicked my teeth in. Games like this having hard bosses is hardly the freshest meme in the world, but unlike the Souls games where the first boss can usually be pretty easily cheesed depending on the game, I was losing the plot just throwing myself at this guy over and over. Then I equipped a skill that gave me a timed indicator of when enemies were going to attack. Suddenly I wasn't just rolling around like it was my first time holding a controller, I was timing parries with absolute perfection. I went around that first area a good few times until I didn't take a single hit, then I rocked up to the boss and absolutely sparked them. And thank God, because the game's grand and I couldn't just leave my poor pink-haired Cyberman stuck in jail. That's exactly what a good first level should do. It should teach you the mechanics and then allow you to try them out at your own pace before deciding you're ready to move on and really face the rest of the game. Of course, the opposite is also true. You only get one chance to make a good first impression, and in the case of games like Heavy Rain, where you're expected to roleplay as a robot trying to fit in with a human family, 2 David Cage games too early, you'd be forgiven for taking the disc out and frisbeeing it out of your window. Even if the rest of the game turns out to be amazing, like the criminally underplayed and genuinely thought-provoking Spec Ops: The Line, its opening mission is about as bland as shooters of the era could be. Although in the case of Spec Ops, the bland first level could be seen as just as much of a metatextual comment on the genre, where war crimes have been boiled down to boring missions. We've become so desensitized that when I hear the word nuke, I genuinely think about Call of Duty rather than remembering it's the world's deadliest weapon. Although I'm not that worried about it because getting 25 kills is a pain in the arse. Speaking of pains in the arse, something that's become really prevalent in the era of live games like Destiny, The Division and recently Ghost Recon Breakpoint is when you finish the first mission and the screen explodes with 1.5 billion markers tutorializing how to read a map and how the inventory system works and how to press the start button as if you've just been thawed out from a block of ice from 200 years ago. This is tripled in annoyance when the game makes you perfectly aware that it's got a whole plethora of options for you to spend your cash on, as if the money you just spent on the game was merely an admittance to this digital tuck shop. And God forbid you come back to a live game after a few months away. In that time they'll have added and removed 5 different currencies and every gun you used to love isn't good enough to give someone a paper cut. There are so many games releasing every day that if they don't nail the opening moments, players are going to get bored and move on to something else. I've been guilty in the past of saying it gets good after 5 hours, but that's not good enough. People's time have never been more divided by entertainment. If you're not going to hook me in, I'm going to move on. Thanks for watching. Remember to let me know your favourite and least favourite opening levels in games in the comments below. Special shout out goes to the Simpsons game, which would give you an achievement before you even started, just for pressing the start button. That's what I want. That's the kind of deference I want my games to show me. Reward me for doing absolutely nothing. That's a joke, but it does kind of sound like one of those anti-millennial memes your uncle would share on Facebook covered in desaturated JPEGs of the laughing crying emoji. Until next time, remember to subscribe to BBC The Social Gaming. I'm Jordan Midler. See you later.